Hi, my name is David, and I'm the writer-editor in the Office of Advocacy at the U.S. Small Business Administration. Today, I've been asked to talk a little bit about why I pursued an alt-ac career instead of a traditional academic career. A little bit of background, I got my PhD from Illinois in 2019. I spent 2 years on the academic job market, which for any of you who have been on the academic job market is a draining experience. For me, it wasn't a very successful experience either. I got one interview, which I thought went okay, but it turns out I wasn't what they were looking for, which is something that happens. But I was sort of faced with a crossroads. I could take an adjunct job or I could leave. And honestly, I wasn't really enthused about taking an adjunct position. After 8 years of graduate school making a below market salary, it felt like I was postponing my life even further. And I also wanted a little bit of extra control over my life. The academy can be wonderful, but when you burn out on publications and on your dissertation and on teaching, you forget about the things that you miss being outside of the academy. A 9 to 5 gives you the opportunity to turn off after a work day, to go home and do something else, to pick up a hobby. You don't have to live in a specific place. You can choose where you want to live based on what your industry does. You don't have to check email in the off hours, right? There aren't students emailing you at 9 o'clock about a deadline that's 3 hours later. You don't have to deal with any of those headaches. So ultimately, I made the decision to switch to that alt-ac career for two reasons. First, I didn't really feel like giving in to an exploitative system was a good idea. We talk a little bit often about how adjuncting is dangerous, about how it's economically exploitative, about how it takes advantage of graduate student and PhD labor, and it does. And so I made the decision to leave because my skills are valuable. The US government likes what I do. So sticking around didn't seem really worthwhile. It just fed into the same sort of inequities that existed within the system that I didn't really feel like I wanted to propagate. Second, I wanted the stability and the freedom that comes from a 9 to 5. And stability is kind of obvious there, right? You have set hours, you know when you're going in, you know when you're leaving, but we don't really think about the freedom, right? The academic career is supposedly more freeing. But there is freedom in the sense that when I get off of work, I'm off of work. And occasionally I'll have to go in or stay late or do something else, but certainly not to the degree that I would in academia. I don't find that my research or my work is taking up all of my mental energy. I have time for hobbies and things that I'm interested in. I have the freedom to go on a vacation in March if I choose, right? I'm not bound to an academic schedule. And so there's a little bit more freedom than we sort of forget about in the academy. Alongside that stability. And so for me, it was a wise decision. It was time for me to realize that the academy was no longer the place for me and that I would do better elsewhere.